There has been so much talk about silver over the past couple of months, and rightfully so. But there's one thing happening behind the scenes that's been extremely overlooked that could be just as, if not more, important. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video, which is silver being added to the US critical minerals list. First though, welcome, thank you for tuning into your daily silver news. My name is Silver Slayer, and if you want the latest information on what's happening across the globe, how that affects the price of silver, make sure you click subscribe. I post once or twice a day, noon or 6 p.m. Eastern Standard. I'm also doing a silver giveaway. If you want a chance to get silver shipped straight to your front doorstep for free, all you gotta do is click subscribe and go enter. The entry video is in the description or the pinned comment. I do want to say, please make sure you enter correctly. Some people entered and they did not do it correctly. It's supposed to be hashtag in all capitals, so it's hashtag capital SLAYER 47. Don't comment that on this video, go to the entry video and do that. Make sure it's in all caps, make sure you use a hashtag, and make sure it's all one word. It will be highlighted in blue. And like I say with every single silver giveaway I've ever done, may the luckiest stacker win. Now let's jump into this article. Upside momentum may surge. An analysis of the impact of silver's inclusion in the US critical minerals list. I will link this in the description. So the U.S. Department of the Interior released a list of critical minerals on Thursday, adding materials such as copper, silver, and metallurgical coal to the list, thereby increasing the risk that these materials may be included in future tariff policies. That is big. Now, we're going to talk about what this means for the price moving forwards, but that in particular is very, very telling that people are noticing silver's important role it plays, and also why the silver shortage could be so damning, right? I mean, we're talking about silver literally making the world go round. So if we run out of it, or if we cannot find it, what would that mean for the EV industry or the solar panel industry or AI chips or whatever silver is used for? If all of these industries are trying to get their hands on it, but there's not enough, that could be dangerous, especially with the amount of silver used in military as well. The list is updated every 3 years by the U.S. Geological Survey and determines which mines will be subject to upcoming Section 232 tariff reviews. Additionally, it influences which U.S. projects may receive federal government support. The market has anticipated the inclusion of copper and coal in the critical minerals list to some extent, but the inclusion of silver has sparked widespread concern. If tariffs are imposed on silver, its liquidity could face issues again, potentially causing significant volatility in silver prices. That is big. If tariffs are imposed on silver, its liquidity could face issues. Suki Cooper, an analyst at Standard Chartered, stated that it remains unclear whether the U.S. will impose tariffs on silver, but listing silver is the first step in this process. On the other hand, the U.S. has included certain customs codes for silver in tariff exemptions lists, which may mean that specific types of silver will not be affected by tariffs. Here are some specific impacts. Approximately 2/3 of silver the United States supply relies on is imports. While it's one of the key materials for electronics, solar panels, and electric vehicles, the inclusion of silver on the U.S. critical minerals list will further highlight its status as a strategic mineral, potentially signaling a paradigm shift in the supply-demand dynamics of silver and ultimately its market price. Because remember, silver is a fundamental metal. It's based more off the supply and demand dynamics more so than something that doesn't have intrinsic value, which is value itself, which is tangible. Previously, due to concerns about potential tariffs on silver, large volumes of silver were preemptively transported from international markets to New York warehouses, causing a liquidity squeeze in the London silver market. This became a key factor driving silver prices to record highs in early October. As supply in the London market has increased, silver prices have consolidated over the past few weeks. However, if tariffs prompt another wave of large-scale movements, silver's price will experience significant volatility once again. Moreover, although the aim of the U.S. policy is to boost domestic supply within the United States, silver is predominantly mined as a byproduct of other metals, implying that its supply is unlikely to increase significantly in the short term. This could further lead to a rise in U.S. silver prices. Now, silver, the whole problem they're trying to portray here is that we are very reliant on to get our silver from other countries, but when the United States needs it to such an extreme degree, we have to start figuring out domestic ways to get it. But mining it is a lot harder than it's not like, okay, we'll just open a few mines and this will fix the problem. That is not the case. One, we are talking about hundreds of millions of ounces of a supply deficit every single year. The last 5-6 years, we're about a billion ounces in the red. And it's only going to get worse as demand rises. But mining production, one, ore grades are down. Two, a lot of there's very few silver mines. Silver is mainly found by accident. It's a byproduct. And three, other countries are starting to keep it themselves as well. Like, look at Mexico. They're thinking about nationalizing silver and keeping it all for themselves via their new president. So we're just going, especially as silver becomes more, sought after, a lot of these countries like Mexico, Peru, Chile, all the countries that are producing it, that are using it, are going to want to keep it themselves like we are, right? We're starting to figure out that we need more silver and we have to find other alternatives. Well, these other countries are going to do the same and stop exporting it because they're like, well, we need it ourselves. Yes, a lot of silver, especially from Mexico and Peru, like that fuels nearly half of all the silver production worldwide. You're just going to start seeing countries hold on to it. And this same thing happened with the U.S. Mint, right? We used to source our Eagles in-house back when we were making, 10, 15 million. But then we started to see 30, 40 million Eagles being made every year. So they're like, well, instead of trying to do all this in-house, which shot themselves in the foot, because yes, it was easier to keep it going, but then eventually, mints like the Sunshine Mint, which produced a lot of the silver plant just to make our Eagles, they cut us off. Had to make an emergency 1 million mintage supply from the San Francisco Mint at the end of 2020. In 2022, they had to cancel the Morgan and silver peace dollars because they just couldn't get enough silver. And that is where Congress came in and were like, why can all of these other mints keep a steady supply of their coins, but the U.S. Mint keeps running out? And that's because we don't go domestic anymore. And the same thing is going to happen with silver, not just with Eagles, but silver period on a large scale. The Sunshine Mint sells to a lot of other mints like Perth Mint. They're able to pay above spot price. The United States has a specific law in place where the Treasury cannot pay above spot price buying silver. So why would the Sunshine Mint want to sell to the U.S. Mint where other countries can pay above spot price? So of course they're going to want to sell to other mints that will pay them a higher price. And that's a lot of that's where this came from, is as soon as we started relying on other countries or other mints to get our silver planchets, it all came crashing down in 2020. Now we're seeing the same problem. We're realizing silver is very, very important, but most of our silver is coming from outside sources. So we're at the mercy of these outside sources to continue. Now it's too late. We could try to start domestically getting silver again, but like they're saying, there's very few silver mines. Silver's a byproduct. We're way too deep in the red to even try to catch up. Recycling wouldn't put a dent in this problem. it's, it's just a messy situation all around. And I feel like they're realizing this too late, too little, too late. Now, however, with prices currently still near multi-year highs, hovering around $48 an ounce, market sentiment remains cautious. Nevertheless, volatility in silver prices is expected to intensify in the short term during public comment period and before the finalization of the mineral list. In addition, silver mining companies with extensive operations in the United States and its partner countries are poised to become the primary beneficiaries of this list. Beyond the impact of tariffs, these firms will also benefit from U.S. fiscal incentives, production subsidies, and streamlined approval processes for new projects, further reducing their operational costs and enhancing profitability. On the other hand, industrial users of silver, including manufacturers of solar panels, EVs, semiconductors, and medical devices, face a more complex situation. In the event of a supply and demand imbalance for silver, these industries will be forced to make strategic adjustments, potentially leading to financial pressures and triggering restructuring. I mean, yeah, like think of someone like Elon Musk. If he he needs a lot of silver with Tesla and SpaceX and all of this, and Starlink. Imagine he would have to cut back the production of Teslas because he doesn't have enough silver. Not saying that would be the case, but also don't just think about that side. Think if the price rises, the cost of production to make a Tesla would dramatically rise. If silver is $100, $200, imagine how much more it would cost to make, to make these cars. And not only that, right? You have, like, Elon Musk is a perfect example, but think of him on a bigger, much bigger scale. Elon is honestly, he's aware of silver. He used to follow Wall Street Silver, or I think he still does. He's mentioned silver. He's not going to publicly come out and say buy silver. That would be silly of him to do, but he definitely is aware. He's a very smart man. He knows about the silver shortage. He knows, and there was talks of him buying a silver mine. But think about the other countries or the other industries that have no idea, that are going to fall victim to this, and what that would do to the economy, to the market, to the industry, to, to the whole system, period. I mean, and that's what they're saying, They will be forced to make strategic adjustments, potentially leading to financial pressures and triggering restructuring. So, yeah. Anyways, I think this is going to be very interesting to see play out. I still think that silver has a lot of room to run. I think that correction, that pullback was much needed. It went into extreme overbought territory, and I think we will catch back up. And, heading into the next couple of years, we could definitely see 60, 70, possibly even 100. Not saying that that's for sure going to happen. That's not even really the point of investing into precious metals. It's more of a wealth preservation. It's a hedge against inflation. It's like putting your money in a time capsule as the dollar quickly, diminishes in purchasing power. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme, and if you're in it for that reason, you're in it for the wrong reason. And hopefully one day you will understand why silver has value, the true value of silver, and most importantly, the true value of a dollar. So yeah, anyways, make sure you go enter my silver giveaway if you want a chance to win some. If you want to buy some silver, hit up Miles Franklin. Just send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. Let them know Slayer sent you. We have gold, silver, and platinum specials every single week. If you send the email, someone will reply, say, hey, can I get this week's price sheet? Highlighted in green at the top are the week's specials. The rest, you'll see all of our products and the price of the product. Just, and there's several different ways to pay. Andy Scheckman is the CEO, very legit company, been in business for over 35 years. Great prices. Your silver's legit. You're getting fair prices. You're not getting ripped off. You're not getting scammed. It's just a safe place to buy, and I could recommend them. I use them myself. I've been a broker there myself. I know how they work myself, and it's a good company. So anyways, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. I love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.